Alright, welcome once again to a video, and this time it's actually a more tutorial demonstration video. I'm joined by Raka
Hello.
and Sapphire.
Hi!
You really had to do that. Anyway, today we're gonna try to demonstrate a fighting. This what we're taking place in is a melee fight. However, this is not actually RP. This is just a demonstration to show you guys how this is gonna be dealt with. To have an example for the fighting, Sapphire here is gonna try to attack Rakashi in a fight. So she's basically trying to defend herself. I wouldn't have no reason. I just say that you're a Sid leader, for example, and you're trying to defend your leader, and Sapphire is coming to
Assassin.
yeah, there we go, an asset or a rebellion that's trying to kill off this character.
So in doing so, it is very likely that this would engage into a RP fight. Now, you do have the option to choose PvP or RP. This must be agreed on by any player. So, in this case, we're going to show you how PvP fights go with regards to rolling mechanics and RPing it out. So, presumably, when I am approached by this character, she is going to demand me to lower my weapon. She's going to try to reason or talk her way into me surrendering. Now, in some cases, this is possible. However, in this case, for the sake of the demonstration, we're not going to accept any terms she says. So, since there is no resolution that can be had, the only option left now is combat. So, the first thing we're going to do is determine which one of us are going to actually strike first. And this is going to be just a simple roll-off to see who goes first.
In case someone doesn't know, to make a roll is that you type /ROLL in the chat. And Sapphire has already done that, and you should roll a 6 and Raka will roll a 14. That means that Raka is the first one to fight.
Since due to my precedence, I can elect to do two actions. One is either a movement, the other one is an action. So, in this case, I'm going to move forward to get into range with my sword, and I'm going to now strike her. However, before we roll, we must emote in order to demonstrate that this is what we're doing.
If you will just roll first and then do the emotion, the attacker, well, the defender, the person opponent in this point can actually say you're gonna have to keep that roll or gonna have to emote and re-roll because you have done a mistake.
Exactly. So, the fact of the matter is, you want to emote first, then roll to guarantee whatever your roll is what's going to be going.
Correct.
And it can technically be considered fail RP in the sense of, because I emote, say, a 1, and then I'm going to try to retract and say, oh, I didn't emote, let me emote, then roll. No, you have to emote, then roll first.
That's why your opponent
Otherwise,
has a
it's up to the
choice.
character to decide.
Meanwhile, Rock is thinking very hard of his emote.
Yes, so I'm going to attempt to strike her at the head. That'll be my first action. So now, I have to determine if I'm actually going to hit her in the head, or just wildly miss. So the first thing I'm going to do is roll. So that's a 20. 20s are auto successes. However, as a bonus to the fact that I am a vampire, vampires come with a natural +2 to their weapon skill, due to their speed and their ability to think real quickly. And as such, they are able to make a judgment call in their strike. So I have a +2 to my weapon skill. Now, my character is not experienced when it comes to swordsmanship. So there are no experience bonuses that she would be able to take advantage of. So now Sapphire will have to decide what she's going to do. If she's going to try to block my sword with her sword, or if she's going to try to jump out of the way. It's all up to what she decides to do. So, she got a 13. However, she is an experienced assassin. She is a human, which means that she has +2 to her weapon skill as well. And she has experience being a assassin. She has swordsmanship training. And how many years have you trained as a swordsman?
About 6.
About 6 years. So
About
that
6.
means that she gets a +6 to her weapon skill. I assume that you didn't allocate any of it to your range.
No.
As such, she's proficient at being a swordsman. That means she has a +6, +2 because of her human stat, and +6 because of her experience, meaning that that is a +8 to her 13 roll.
And a roll can only be a maximum out of 10, even though you're like, it doesn't matter at the point. If you have +10, that's the limit of every sword or every
Right.
weapon.
Because the fact of the matter is, I'm also a character who's been alive for 11 months, aka 11 years, which would have mean that I would have had 11 points to allocate. However, I am not an occupation of a soldier. I'm not a archer or anything that would allocate such skills. As such, I don't take advantage of that experience. So, she rolled actually a 21. Because of her skills as a swordsman, it was +6, and her skills as a human, a natural human, meaning that she has a 8 bonus, which 8 to 13 is 21.
So
However,
even though that Raka had a auto-completion, the auto-completion of Sapphire, like the stronger Sapphire, was still strong enough to block the sword, I believe.
No, she was not. Because my my vampire traits,
Oh,
is a
indeed.
weapon skill +2. I have 22 to her 21, meaning that I was successful in the strike.
Yes.
So,
No.
that means my strike managed to hit her in the head. But now we have to factor in, how good of a hit was it? Did I hit her very hard? Because, you know, she's wearing iron armor. If I hit her with a wooden sword, that's just gonna bounce off. Because it's just wood against iron. Or if it was my fist hitting iron, it's just going to bounce off. However, that's where we take the equipment and we look at how good the equipment is. I have an iron sword, as you can see. It has no enchantments. Iron itself gives you a bonus of +3. Just by default. Because it's iron material. It's going to be a little bit more effective than wood. It's going to be effective than gold. But it's not as effective as diamond, of course. So, I'm also a vampire. My strength naturally is elevated. I have a +3 natural strength. Meaning that together, that blow is a +6 to whatever I now roll. I do not need to emote because I already know I hit. So that means that is a +6 to 18. Meaning that I made a 24 hit.
So
Now she, being in iron armor, being well defended, she's going to take advantage of the fact that I just aimed for her head. So she has protection on her head, doesn't she?
Yes.
and that is
And what
protection.
is it?
It would be protection 4.
Now, when it comes to protection, you are limited to +3 for enchant. So, because of her enchantment of protection, she has a +3 to her what is known as a toughness stat. Her toughness paired against my strength. So, +3 to her enchant. It's iron armor, so it's decently protective, meaning it's a +3 to her defensive toughness, making that +6. And her innate toughness is a 0 because she is human. Meaning that her bonus is going to be a +6 to her toughness, whatever she rolls to resist the damage.
Alright, so she's gonna roll now.
Now she managed to get higher than my strength, meaning her toughness outweighed the strength of my hit, meaning I just simply cut into her helmet, and it did no damage to her or wound her in any way.
So basically hit it, but it didn't really, like, it did nothing. No glancing damage, nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
So this makes it,
It harmlessly bounced off of her helmet.
yeah, so this
Now-
makes it Sapphire's turn. Because you have done all your emotion, you have done your,
I've done my action by moving forward. I have done my movement moving forward, and I've done my action doing the strike. Now it's her turn, and she will emote to determine what she's going to do, and we will continue this back and forth.
until either someone is on the ground.
Oh,
Ooh, that's
which
a
is an
very
auto
good one.
success. Now, I could roll, but I'm not going to get higher than her 20. Because
So-
the fact of the matter is, my weapon skill is weaker than hers. So I can actually just allow her to keep going. Simply because there is no way I can get higher than 20. She has a +8 to her weapon skill, I have a +2 to my weapon skill. The max I can roll is a 20. So I already know that the conclusion of this is she managed to hit me. Alright, we will determine the damage. Now, you might notice, she went for my head. I have no armor on my head. This means that I cannot use any of my armor benefits to determine toughness, because I can't allocate anything to it. I have no armor on my head. So now we'll determine how hard of a hit it is. So her natural strength is a +2, because she is human. So that means that that hit is going to be a 11 points.
And with the
So now-
sharpness
With her sharpness,
and gold sword,
there's the additional allocation points. So, Sapphire, what type of sharpness is on there?
It's it would be sharpness +2,
A sharpness
Sharpness five.
+2.
and you can only go to a sharpness 2.
And
So-
since it's a gold blade, that means it already gives you a +2, because it's slightly weaker than an iron sword, but it's stronger than a wood sword. So it's +2, making it a 4.
And then
4
also
plus
her
other
strong.
2.
yeah. To keep in mind though, even though she would have a a diamond sword, she cannot go above the 10 once again. Every roll cannot be modified higher than a +10.
There is only a single exception, and that is a bow. The bow is the only exception to that rule. And that is the benefit of bow combat. However, we will get to that on a later date. So now, I have to see if my head manages to resist that damage.
So you're gonna have to compete against a 17.
Yes. So, my natural toughness, because I'm a vampire, is only a +2. Meaning there's a difference of
5.
5. Which means that it is a glancing blow. Because there is also a difference that is required to be looked at. Any difference that is 5 to 9 is a glancing hit. It just cut me, it cuts my face pretty hard. It knocks me around a little bit. But it's not enough to actually hurt me severely. Now, between 10 to 15, that's what is known as a wound. Now, what a wound does is like as if she would cut into my jaw, or maybe she cuts over my eye. It's a severe enough injury that it starts to affect how I roll, meaning that I'm going to be distracted by the pain that I am in, because being cut by a blade hurts. So, she just glanced me. And by glancing me, she can accumulate glances. 3 glances creates a wound, which then gives me negative benefits in my striking. So at this moment, she's cut me.
Alright. So, to the point, right? Each wound also equals HP. So if Raka, for example, because she's a vampire, I believe she has 4 HP?
I have 4 HP.
If she would have in this place 4 wounds, she'd be either dead in character or passed out and no position to
I will
fight
at
back.
first pass out.
Yeah, and then is for Sapphire to shows that she's gonna kill her or leave her there wounded to recover. However, in some cases that you have done major damage to her jaw, she may end up bleeding out without any help. So she's gonna either have to get taken care of, or she's gonna die out straight off. However, this the last part, because this is not always. Fighting may happen without admin permission, but the final blow has to be either accepted by the opposing person, like I wanna die now, you can kill me, or if you're gonna say no, an admin gonna have to decide that for you. However, if an admin says yes, you cannot deny anymore until you have actual proof that this was no sense for killing.
Right, there has to be reason to remove the permission. Like, improper protocol, violation of rules, that sort of thing can result in a PvP kill being revoked.
For example, metagaming.
Exactly.
So this is like a small guide toward the melee combat. As you can see, she could end up killing her if like the rolling keeps winning in this fixture. So we're gonna have to end it for this one. I think we have covered most of the actual melee fighting in this part. We have covered the race differences. Because she's a vampire, she gets different things than her. However, she is a more experienced attacker. She can eventually do more damage than she could ever with her iron sword. And with her protection, it isn't gonna do much, even though she has a little more advantage in protection as a human. This is not gonna be enough to do her armor and her open spot on her face. We're gonna go moving on other videos that will explain other factors and other examples, because this one is just a simple melee fight. There could be other things such as archery, magic involved, and perhaps more people. So I would say until the next video.